Welcome to a new episode of TTG Conversation's 5 Questions video series. I'm Karen Yu, Group Editor of TTG Asia Media. In this episode, we'll find out what has to happen for a destination to reopen to international tourism. Bringing us on this journey, is Maria Anthonette Velasco-Allones, Chief Operating Officer at the Tourism Promotions Board of the Philippines. Thank you so much for making time for this interview, Antoinette. I'm sure days are buzzing over in the office now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And gratitude is mine as well for this great opportunity to be able to have this conversation with you on a very timely topic, I should say, as we see Asia Pacific reopening to international
Yeah, that's
tourists.
right. That's right. Great. Okay, I've got 5 questions for you, and here is the first. Now, despite shutting her international borders to tourist arrivals, the Philippines has remained very active in terms of destination marketing. But besides ensuring travelers remember and desire the Philippines for their next holiday, what were some of the most critical steps taken by the Tourism Promotions Board, the government agencies, as well as tourism trade to facilitate the return of international travelers?
Thank you for that. I should say at the outset that this is not the effort solely of the Tourism Promotions Board. As you very well noted, tourism and this particular sector, for us to be able to achieve the goals that we've set for ourselves, usually it takes a convergent effort. And we have private sector and, well, the government leads the formulation of policies and all that. So let me just share maybe three critical C's as the steps that we've taken. And top of that would be the concern really for confidence building. We have seen through the pandemic and even now that safety remains to be the top priority, the top of mind concern of our travelers. And so the Philippine government, along with private sector, really worked together hand in hand. As early as May 2020, the Department of Tourism rolled out the new normal safety protocols to ensure that when the destinations reopened, when the attractions were ready to welcome back guests, then the guests would have confidence in their safety and in the capability of the destinations and the frontliners of tourism to be able to welcome back the tourists. And with that effort, we also actually work together with private sector in ensuring that we get the okay from the World Travel and Tourism Council in terms of being able to use the safe travel stamp. So as I speak, we have 3 destinations, Boracay, Ilocos, and Baguio, that have been given the safe travel stamps, along with 240 accommodation establishments that have been authorized to use the safe travel stamps. That means that they are found compliant with health and safety protocols, and therefore it is safe for guests to visit them. And finally, I think most countries also did this. As of last week, for the tourism frontliners alone, we have achieved a 95.51% of vaccination rate. And we are close to like a quarter of that percentage having booster shots. So you should be confident that we are vaccinated. Most of the tourism frontliners, wear these pins and say, I am vaccinated. So you feel more confident. And the second C would be capacity enhancing. So we walked our stakeholders through the need to shift to digital strategies. We had to equip them with new skills and competencies to be able to adopt online platforms for like marketing, for doing campaigns. And then of course we had to leverage on social media, as we know that Facebook, Instagram and Twitter remain to be the top 3 platforms. And so we tried really to equip our stakeholders, particularly at the local level, to be able to maximize the use of these technologies. And the final C would be us being able to sustain communications in a way that really connected still, our tourists with us here. And by this, we revisited our global campaign strategy. We had to suspend when it was more sensitive, to suspend and not sell out there knowing that there's a surge somewhere. So we had to be able to quickly adapt to these changing situations all over the world. And then locally for the Philippines, and now we have expanded it to cater also to international tourists, we developed a travel app. So it is a source of all the information that updates tourists in terms of what destinations are open, what protocols are required, what are the documents you need to prepare, so that at least travel remains to be seamless.
Mhm. Good. Now, your last point guys very nicely into the next question. How are engagements with the travel trade changing now that access is back?
Well, actually, now that the borders are open, And we see a lot of events now shifting back to physical mode. And so the adjustments are also happening now in such a way that more and more people are, going back to the physical or face-to-face engagement. So, and we know that for travel and tourism, we are a high touch, high presence industry. So I think this is really a good thing, a good development for everybody. So in terms of engagements, we are sustaining the engagements that we've had over the pandemic years. And for the Tourism Promotions Board, the board just last week approved the waiver of participation fees for international travel fairs, missions, and B2B meetings of our business sector. So anybody who's attending now that there are announcements, travel fairs, trade events, business missions abroad. So if they're attending that, the TPB foots in the bill for their participation in those events to encourage our stakeholders to slowly get out there and make their presence felt again. So I think in terms of engagement, we've leveled up during the pandemic even, and now we are sustaining the relationships that we have cultivated through the 2 years that we were on lockdown.
Any financial support always helps, huh?
Yeah, because we know that our private sector industries, particularly the micro, small, and medium enterprises, were the ones adversely affected. So now they really need all the help to be able to get back on their feet. And I think it also helps overall in the economic recovery of the country.
That's right. That's right. Now, what were some of the hiccups in the initial days of reopening, and what's being done to resolve them?
Oh, just like any other place, most changes when they occur, there will always be like confusion because most of the time people will interpret the rules in a way that will suit what is convenient or comfortable to them. So initially when the borders opened, we got a lot of questions clarifying the protocols, clarifying the entry requirements. And for that, we had to be like 24/7, we were responding to clarifications and queries. And personally, I've seen a lot of concerns like, it's now a requirement to have COVID insurance. Because prior to the pandemic, we would usually require travel insurance, but now this is actually an added requirement for tourists who enter the Philippines. They need to have COVID insurance in addition to the travel and medical insurance. So we try to explain that it's actually for your benefit, just in case something happens, for a minimum premium. You don't have to pay the entire amount. It's just a premium of the insurance fee that you need to cover. So we had a lot of, explaining to do so that tourists were clarified about this. And I think globally, there was the concern to really harmonize so that we have like universality in terms of how the vaccination documentation really becomes acceptable. So like for Singapore, for the other countries within the ASEAN region, I think it's easy within the ASEAN because we have the reciprocal arrangements in terms of recognizing the vaccine certificates. But for other countries, for the rest of the world, there is that ongoing effort to really have a uniform set of documentation so that it gets recognized wherever you go, wherever you travel. And then for the Philippines, we also had to make very quick adjustments in terms of the arrival cap. So during the pandemic, there were daily arrival caps that we imposed, simply because, I think for most countries, we had quarantine requirements before. So we had to manage available hotel rooms that could cater to arriving passengers. Now that the quarantine requirement has been done away with, so we have also continuously increased the arrival numbers that are allowed, particularly for tourists and even our migrant workers who are coming back home for summer, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And how is the mood among Philippine travel stakeholders now? And what expectations do they have for the country's tourism future?
In general, the mood is really one of great optimism, and there is so much hope. 2 years back around this time, we were all like, what? Lockdown? What are we going to do? We don't know. There's no playbook for doing these things. most of us, did not live long enough to witness the Spanish flu. So there were really a lot of, how are we going to go about this? But now I think uh, we are slowly getting used to living with the COVID-19 virus. And it was a blessing that the recent surge of the Omicron early in the year turned out to be, a good way to achieve herd immunity in a way that really infected people with just very mild symptoms. Some of them were really mostly asymptomatic. So now the mood is generally one of hope and positive perspective. We see a lot of travel agents, tour agencies getting bookings. So now the problem is, the nice problems to have, like answering queries, responding to the concerns of the incoming tourists. And we have seen this. We reopened February 10 to our international tourists, and we have seen our daily arrivals continuously increase. Like in a period of like 10 days, we had more than 20,000 arrivals from Australia, from Vietnam, from other countries within the region. So this really is a very good start for at this time of the year. And many of our stakeholders are really very keen on seeing this to be a continuing trend in terms of growth. In November 2020, we started a weekly chat among the TPB members just to update everybody and share best practices and all. And now the request is that CEO, can we keep the chat like only, we used to do it weekly, and now there's a clamor to like do it only either once a month or twice a month, because now they're all very busy attending to clients. So that's good, right? That's good. So yeah.
So they don't have time for you now.
Yeah, which is also good. Which is also good. So that means I will be off the nanny duties in terms of shepherding and guiding the stakeholders. I think they're all ready and excited to really take off also.
Wonderful news. Okay, last question. The Philippines is reopening at a time when more tourist destinations are doing the same, while confidence has yet to return to pre-pandemic levels. So, what will your team be doing to ensure folks who are able and willing to travel abroad for work and holidays pick the Philippines over other alternatives?
Yeah, well, for one lesson we take away from the pandemic year is there is really no substitute for being proactive. So we will continue to be proactive, looking at the market, looking at the trends, so that we are able to better respond to the expressed or unexpressed needs of our tourists and travelers. And we want to be able to sustain the campaigns that we have globally, whether on a tactical or on a strategic level, and in a manner that makes our positioning really authentic. The vision of the Tourism Promotions Board is to be able to really position the Philippines as a preferred destination within the region for sustainable and uniquely diverse and fun travel experiences. And we want to substantiate that with real work on the ground. So we wish to sustain the efforts through the 24 months that we were on lockdown in terms of enhancing the tourism destinations, the portfolios that we have. We have developed new circuits, and the destinations are more than excited to welcome back our visitors. So I think these are important things to bring as we hopefully this is really the time when we are saying that we are getting out of the pandemic gradually, and we want to be able to do that in a way that still cultivates our relationships with you, our relationships with our neighbors who, like us, are also eager to welcome back tourists. You know that our campaign tagline for the tourism is that it's more fun in the Philippines, and now we say that it's actually more fun with you. So we can't wait to have you back.
That's wonderful. That's a wonderful tie up to the questions. Thank you so much, Anthonette. That's all the questions I have for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I hope you guys stay safe and we'll be able to see each other soon. Physically,
Yeah.
and have a
That's right.
conversation beside
Yeah,
each other.
that's right. All right. Past and future episodes of TTG Conversations, 5 questions can be found on the TTG YouTube channel. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all at the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye.